I'll just do a little intro for Kai. And I just see that I've just seen in the chat, sorry, I'm not very good at checking chats, but I just see that we've got Zach is new as well. So welcome, Zach. It's great to have you here. So Kai, I was thinking, how do I introduce Kai? Like, maybe I know too much about you, Kai. So what do I zoom in on, right? But so Kai creates these amazing video and photographic stories that celebrate the mahi that organizations such as ours do on a daily basis, but he sort of translates that mahi into the head heart communication, messaging that we all know we need, but sometimes we struggle with. And he's able to sort of encapsulate that. And he does that because he's an incredibly personable individual who's really passionate about people, passionate about the planet. He's someone who will often be like, oh, I'm heading off into the bush just with my sleeping bag, just to like hang out with the trees. And he's really excited when he discovers a new project in his community that he can help celebrate. So I've been to a couple of his workshops in person before, and he's holds a space beautifully. So I'm really excited about what he's going to share with us today. I think that if anyone out there is struggling with how do I, encapsulate the mahi that we do in a way that's digestible for people, it gets them having that moment and excited moment. I think Kai's going to help us out with that. So with no further ado, I shall hand over to Kai J. Lee.
Oh, kia ora, Emma. That was that was so funny. Like, what do I share about him? Too much about him. That was a beautiful introduction, and yeah. Hello, everyone. Tēnā tātou katoa, taigaho. Ko Kai toku ingoa. My name is Kai. I see some familiar names and also some new ones, so welcome, welcome. It's lovely to have people all across the motu here. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments here. I wanted to dive into it, but first I wanted to all of us get on the same page energetically. So if you're comfortable, let's close our eyes, take a couple breaths together, if that's okay with you. So exhale everything out of your lungs, and then let's breathe in together. Hakiroto. Hakiwaho. One more. Hakiroto. Breathe in, and hakiwaho. Breathe out. Oh, I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate you guys signing on during lunch on a weekday to be here and share some storytelling. And today's session is a little different because I'm not just telling about a story that I'm working on. I'm storytelling from a place of what I've been discovering. And as Emma mentioned really beautifully, one of the workshops that we were in together, I was talking about connections to the natural world and our relationship to it. And so I see this presentation as like a continuation of that exploration. And now with some of the feedback from the team, I'm just directing it further. So I want to start right away with an idea that I've been exploring, which is that everything that we know and operate from is a story. And the stories aren't external, but everything that we know and operate from is a story. And everything that we react, respond, talk into from, it's a construct. We're always, whether consciously or unconsciously, choosing a frame to act and respond from. Okay, and these are all conditionings that have been put onto us explicitly or implicitly by our family, the world. And that conditioning gives us a lot of information to speak, to react and respond, as I've been saying. And that's my belief, right? I've been really diving into that as I take my hobbies, my work, my mahi, and this curiosity and just running to see where it goes. A lot of podcasts, a lot of books, some of which I'll refer to in a moment. So I've really come to it from having observed life as it is. Me as a 40-year-old, my own lived experiences, and through that with others. Some of the friends that that I shared a space here, clients, people that I've just met for a few minutes, a few hours on my travels through projects all across the world, right? And I've been taking images for most of my life now, and for the last 16, 17 years I've gotten the opportunity to do it professionally. And so really I've been paid to witness life, the unfolding of humanity and the beauty of the world. It's a great privilege. And what I've noticed is that I'm living the dream that I had when I was a teenager of wanting to be a Nat Geo photographer. And that dream comes with a lot of responsibilities, a lot of gifts, but also this little darker hidden part that I'm gonna share with you in a moment here. And that is, in recent years, I realized it's a gift to be behind the camera, but it's also a bit of a curse. And it's a bit of a shadow side of mine, because I'm witnessing, but that often means I'm not participating. And it could be really easy to say, oh, I'm the documenter, I'm going to stay behind the camera. But what's happening in front of me, a ritual, a dance, a song, whatever it is, I just go, oh, it's just safer to be here, behind the lens, behind the camera body, and not step into the limelight, right? Their story is more important for me to capture, right? Like I'm just going to be the witness. And one of my friends and actually colleagues through Hapori, through Siwai Kato Ja, her request is for me in shaping this presentation was, what's life like through a lens, right? The witnessing, the recording, the supporting. And I want to share a story that I had just put on my Substack, which I just started. And it's a story that I realize now was a really pivot point to switch from being a witness to being a weaver, hence the name of the presentation today. It was the first months of my, it was the first few months of my 30s. I had just turned 30. And I was on a trek. Can you guys see me as well as the photo here with the four of us? So this is younger me with 3 friends. We're on a multi-day trek in the Himalayas, fully self-supported, have to bring our stove, sleeping. There's no tea house to buy food and water. And 4 days in, we're taking a wrong turn and we're running out of water. We couldn't descend down this mountain ravine and we're stuck, realizing that, man, we've made a terrible mistake. We have to backtrack or somehow find another way down. And in that really desperate moment, I was looking for a way down. I slipped and nearly fell to my death. And I held onto a tree branch that broke my fall. I could have fallen down about maybe 6 to 8 meters. It would have broken my legs and probably wouldn't have had a chance to make it out alive, despite my friends being there. And that night we slept because we were exhausted from trying to find ways. Trying to conserve our energy, and just rested on these rocks that were preventing us from going down. It was just like a sheer drop. And I couldn't sleep despite being exhausted. And that night I looked up the night sky, and I basically said a prayer. It was like the first prayer I've ever said since I was in like Christian Catholic school as a kid. And I said it in my native language, which is Cantonese. And I said, which means, please give my friends and I a safe passage out of the mountains. And I proceeded to say, hey, look, like, I'll make a deal with you, God, creator, the universe. I'm like, I haven't finished living this life yet. I have still so much to give. And if you're going to show us a way out tomorrow, I trust that. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep serving. I'm going to keep become the best version of myself. And I want to live a really full life. Like, I promise that to you, that I'm not done with, like, I've only lived for 30 years. Like, let me out of here. Let us out of here. And so that was the pivot. that was the pivot. And so that was the moment I felt like us coming out of like the prison. Yeah? As you can see, it's like I can see life, the mountains, the water, the relationships, everything in front of these bars that have been holding me back, right? And it's like the shift, right, from the witness to the weaver. I'm also participating. I'm becoming more proactive in how I show up for and live life. And that's the aspect of autonomy and sovereignty I've been starting to reclaim since that moment about 10 years ago. And so the question I want to pose to the group kind of quietly as you ruminate on this is, what lens may you be watching your life through in this moment recently? And so, oops, a little early, but it's okay. Let's have some levity. So continuing from the theme of everything we know and operate from as a story, a construct, it's my belief and my current exploration is the most important story we tell is the one we tell ourselves. Yeah, let me reiterate that. The most important story we tell is the one we tell ourselves. And so it's not the profile picture you put up of you being fierce like this little dog. It's not you looking really cool at like a party. So not your Tinder profile, not your LinkedIn profile, your accolades, your certificates, your experience. Those are fine, but they don't fully define you. Yeah? I think it's safe to say that most of us agree to that. When you write about yourself, you're like, but there's so much more than just some words and stuff that I have accomplished. Right? And what I care about when I get to know someone at a deeper level, and some of the people here in this very room, is what are their values? Right? What's their unshakable core? What's the voice inside of them? Right? Is it cheeky? Is it kind of devious? Moment to moment, it changes. That's what I care about. And I'll give you an example of operating from a story and a story we tell ourselves. This morning, I was doing my hair, trying to make it look all nice for today's presentation, and I was noticing some like silver strands and like whites coming out, right? A new growth here. And it's nothing new, but it stands out because, as you can see, I have pretty dark hair. And the reaction, is it, I'm getting old, it doesn't look good, and I should dye it black? Or is it, wow, my body is changing, and this is new growth, and maybe it's a sign of wisdom, and I'll rock it kind of proudly, right? Like, it's a reframe, right? Or if you're doing some mahi at work, you're doing a report, or like, I need to do this, I have to do it. Or is it, this is actually my responsibility. I chose this mahi, I get to do this work. Right, same facts, but a really big shift in attitude. And I'm not trying to push us towards toxic positivity, because there's plenty of that out there, because what I want to embrace is that there's certainly darkness in life. There are deep shadows in us, in humanity, and we see it, I think, more than ever. The point I'm trying to get us to here is observing the thoughts and the reactions, catching these reactions. Some of these reactions aren't really you. They're just thoughts, and they come and go, right? And then you kind of stay curious as to why I would have that reaction, or why I may want to say that. And that's the balance. It's like one of the greatest and hardest games in life is watching yourself, watching your thoughts. And I say this because I'm reading this book. You guys can see it, Talking Heads. And it says, The New Science of How Conversation Shapes Our Worlds by Shane O'Mara. And in the back cover says, Talking Heads is a stunning survey of the science of human connection and communication from neurons to nations. So small level, big picture, right? But that's what I'm trying to get to. I think modern science is finally catching up to what indigenous wisdom and also really good facilitation have always known. And that identity, as we know it, is actually shaped by the stories we tell. And it's drawn from memories that are continuously reshaped by the questions we're asked and also what others are telling us. So this is a photo from a really beautiful powwow, a Native American powwow that I got to attend in 2014. And what I want to add to that is who you surround yourself is of utmost importance. You know, a lot of people say that you're kind of like the average of the closest 5 to 10 friends you spend the most time with or colleagues. And so you got to choose that. You got to choose that whānau really, really carefully, mindfully. What you watch, what you read, and also like what your community and you gossip about. Like it's all part of the conditioning. You know, these echo chambers that we talk about on social media. You know, even the kai, the food that you eat, where it's coming from, how it's grown. Do you have a connection to it? And at the core is, and the question I really want to ask again is, who's holding the pen of your inner narrative? Like, the voice inside, is it really you? Is it fully you? Or is it a mishmash of a lot of different voices that aren't you? Right? And upon knowing that, certainly for me, I can say, like, would you want to reclaim that sovereignty? Like this Native American man here who is calling out to his ancestors to reclaim his sovereignty, his voice. And he's showing that with the younger generation, drumming, dancing, reclaiming, right? And so that's one of the mahi I've gotten to do here. In the last 2 years, I see Zach's in the room. He's one of the beautiful tāne and a close friend, a brother I get to call, that's in my men's circle, my tāne group. We sometimes sit like this, around a fire, under the stars, just pure presence. And it's one of the core questions that my circle with Zach and about 7 other men, for me, it's just over 2 years now, we dive into some of these conditionings that no longer serve us, right? Sometimes we joke, oh, how do we reset to factory settings? You reboot your phone, you reinstall Windows and Mac OS. You start again. Because we realize a lot of these narratives aren't ourselves. So how do we go back to like the childlike state? You know, children, like curious with everything, wanting to look through a different lens, right? This is my nephew, by the way, from about 12, 13 years ago. He doesn't do that anymore. But I still do. But yeah, it's the children default is to wonder and awe, to joy, acceptance, aroha, right? And so how do we go from men, women, non-binary, adults, in our own autonomous sovereign beings, back to some of that embodiment of awe and wonder and love and acceptance, right? So my brothers and I, we share these constructs, we deconstruct them on our own and together. We sometimes break them, sometimes really loudly, but the point is we witness each other doing it, we change the narrative. And it takes a lot of time, but slowly but surely we get to come back to who we really are. And there's less guesswork. Is he telling the truth? Of course he is. Because the whanangatanga is so tight, the relationship building is so tight and trusting that there's no other way but the truth to come out. It's beautiful. Yeah, and we tell each other, hey, like, I see you, and it's okay to cry. It's okay to embody feminine energy. Providing is one of the constructs we're given, but it's not the only gift we can give to our community, to our wahine, to the elders, to the younger people. Yeah, it's okay to ask for help, and that's the internal systems change I've been talking about for quite a few months, You know, Hapori here is about systems thinking and change, and I think this is a really important aspect of internal systems change. It isn't talked about enough. It's of monumental importance to me. So I gotta check in on myself. Like, is that fully true? Is that fully you? Was that from a place of acceptance and love, or was that from a place of wanting to be right and ego, right? And it's very qualitative. It doesn't fit neatly on an annual report. And I'm talking to a lot of counselors and therapists, and they agree. It's like forcing the human experience into quantitative boxes, and I think it's why we see this big disconnect between systems like governments and corporations, and also the people. You and I, here. So, how do we work together again? How do we repair this divide, right? I think I'm seeing many of us have forgotten what matters. And for me, it's relationships. To ourselves, to each other, to our environment, right? It's the collective storytelling. You know, have we forgotten our humanity? You know, cross-cultural collaboration, as you can see here. Rebuilding. The bricks of life. Yeah. It's the senses, feeling, healing, hearing, sensing, tasting. And the truth is, my belief is, very few of us actually know what we're doing. Anyone who says they've gotten it all figured out is probably lying to you. And in my humble opinion, the surrender to that is not failure. It doesn't look good in corporations, but it's not failure. I think it's a beautiful act. It's a radical, beautiful act. And I think that's the beginning of changing the story. And that's why I think you guys are here. You're drawn to something here in this presentation from the prompt that, oh, like there's something of interest here. And just to add a little 2 cents, it's no wonder most of the room here is wahine and non-binary. I get it. The joke's not lost on me. Yeah. And I want to offer another reframe. You guys know this plant, right? It's our favorite gorse. It's prickly. It's really hard to remove. It kind of overtakes hillsides and the bush and sometimes the walk. You walk past it, it just kind of hurts, right? It has yellow flowers. It's about the only redeeming quality you can think of in the spring. But it's actually a fantastic nitrogen fixer. Did you guys know that? You know, so Department of Conservation DOC has spent decades and like millions of dollars trying to eradicate it, right? They spray it, they burn it, they bulldoze it, it comes back really strong. I kind of alluded to it a few seconds ago, but gorse is actually not an enemy. And I say that because it's a nitrogen fixer. It pulls atmospheric nitrogen from our air that we can't really use and puts it into the ground, makes it bioavailable for other plants. And soil is typically nitrogen poor, which is why we add so much chemicals and fertilizers to make it more grow friendly. But gorse does this quietly for free, even though it's hated on. It's a pioneer species, so it grows in any conditions, even if it's degraded, dry, sloped. Like bad land, well, I should put quotes, bad land for grazing and growing is actually great for gorse. And they do this, right? Months later, years later, the soil is actually better. It's less compacted. And right here in my backyard, I live in Old Tahi, Christchurch, and just in our backyard in the Banks Peninsula, which is where actually Zach lives, there's a beautiful reserve called the Hinawai Reserve, and it's been run by Hugh Wilson and a team over there for 35 plus years. And he's a living legend. He's in his 70s and still rocking it and doing regeneration. But he was called in the 80s a fool and a dreamer by basically every farmer in the peninsula and the greater region for not eradicating the gorse. Because his idea was to stop fighting it and create the conditions for native plants to thrive underneath. So as the gorse fixes the nitrogen, it creates also a physical barrier from the predators, becomes a nursery, and as the native plants come up from the soil, it grows above the gorse and shades it. And gorse needs full sun. So over time, the native plants causes the gorse to die. It's done its work, right? It regenerates the whenua. The birds come back. It further accelerates the regeneration because now the native plants are providing kai for the manu, the birds. And now it's 17 hectares of regenerated bush. And it looks like 40 waterfalls running year-round. It looks like what the peninsula used to look like hundreds of years ago. And it's going to keep moving towards that in our lifetime. Right? So that's the reframe. Now, Hawaii Reserve and parts of the peninsula looks like this. Right? Native plants. Kanuka, manuka. Right? The baby trees like matai coming through. It's a sight to behold. And here's what we're learning. Now you guys can read the screen here. It's not the enemy. The flowers are medicinal. It's food for the bees and pollinators while they're still there. It's a system's restore. And so when we reframe what gorse actually is, or maybe who our enemy or who we perceive to be a threat, I think it's partially because we're ignorant of its potential gifts. And if we're in it as systems thinkers and changers to value everyone's input, well, even the political party that you don't like, maybe there's something in there of value to us that we just don't see yet. Or maybe they're just not seeing it the way you are, but hating on them isn't going to change it. And I say it out loud because I need to learn that myself. Holding myself accountable. Yeah, in one of my favorite books of all time, it's called The Fifth Sacred Thing. The author, Starhawk, who's an elder and a protagonist in the story, she's facing these invaders that are coming to take over her town, her village, right? They're coming with weapons in their hands, and they're going to take down their house and burn community spaces to the ground. And she says to the invaders, instead of putting on her suit of armor and weapons and going to fight, she says to them, hey, when you're ready, there's a seat for you at our table. When you're ready, there's a seat for you at our table. We've made food, we have tea, let's talk. Oh, too fast. Too fierce. That's what I want us to get to. And I know it sounds really kumbaya and optimistic, but this is the surest way that I've seen time and time again in different contexts through time. This is what works. You're showing up with empathy and aroha, or is it always? There's a place for the fighting spirit, but it's not always, in my opinion. It's not against this, not that. And it's sometimes also wrapped up in, and I fact check myself this, is it you wanting to be right, or is it seeking to understand more fully? Right? And I've been redirecting my energy towards nurturing what I wish to see. Again, I keep putting Zach on the table because it's so relevant. This past weekend, for his birthday, he turned his birthday party into a land regenerating party, and they planted over 1,000 trees on his whenua. Right? It's we know what's happening socially and politically, but how do we choose to show up? What we want to see in the world, right? I love that. So props to you, my bro. So this is I see it as this is the path for me towards internal mastery, staying curious, seeking to understand, harmony, hugging. It's far easier said than done. And especially when our nervous system is on edge. I've lived that one for years, being the way I am, living in Turtle Island, the US, and I just feel so much calmer and ease now being in Aotearoa. And I can finally say that, when your nervous system is healed and calmed, you can actually more likely act from that place of curiosity and understanding. And I think I want to act, everyone can offer a lesson and some sort of wisdom, the shared humanity. Yeah, we have to stay open enough to find it. So, as we come to a close to this presentation, and I really thank you for your attention here. I see some nods along the way. It's really, really reaffirming and nice to see. If it's okay, let's feel into what it's like to go for a little reboot, like a factory reset, if you will. Okay, so if you're comfortable with it, let's close our eyes again. Take a few breaths again together. Yeah, and if you're not keen, it's okay. Just observe. Just observe. We're here. Just at your own pace. Breathe in. Breathe out. Yeah. And if it's safe to go there, okay? If it's safe to go there, imagine your childhood. Imagine a joyous moment from your childhood. Okay? And if you can't access that, it's okay. It could be your tamariki, your children, your niece, your nephew, a friend's child, a wedding you've witnessed, a really cute dog you just saw at the park recently. Okay? Yeah, hold that. Remember that sense of wonder on their face, on your face, the love, the playfulness, the cheekiness, especially to kids. Yeah. What does that feel like in your body? Right? Stay there a little longer. Let that feeling permeate through different corners of your body. Okay? And now returning to your body now. The pressure of the chair against your bum, the signals and sounds from around the room, my voice. Yeah, what's coming through? What's the why underneath what you do? Why do you show up every day? Is it your whānau, and tamariki, okupuna, your own healing? Your community, communities, environment, health, joy, learning, growth. Yeah. And when you're ready, let's open your eyes and just keep that sense of peace as I walk us through the last couple minutes here of these beautiful shots that I've gotten to witness in nature, in my travels, in my work. Like, that's the world we live in, right? From the micro to the macro. And this is where I want to come back to. Like, this is the world we get to live in, right? Like, how beautiful, how magnificent. Full of mystery, full of wonder and joy. This is right here in Te Puna Ako in the winter. It's, I can't. Oh my goodness, so gorgeous. But yeah, coming back to that night in the Himalayas that I nearly lost my life. I ran out of water. We found water in a gully and spent a long time walking up, but at least we had water the next day. So already my promise, my ask was fulfilled. At the top of the mountain pass, we see smoke coming out of a stone hut that was empty when we were there 2 days prior. And inside that hut is this Nepali man with a fire, with shelves full of spices and food. And he was there with his son, right? We walk in there, we said namaste. You know, with our really broken Nepali, we tell him, stomach, empty, hungry, 4 of us. Food? And he's like, Basnu, sit down. And he cooked us 4 extra servings of dal bhat for us. Could barely communicate, but he knows we're in a place of need. It's snowing outside now, right? And we slept while it snows outside in his tiny little stone hut in the corner with him and his son. And the rest, like I'm talking to you because my prayers were answered. This man was the embodiment of God, I guess. And I have to fulfill that promise. I'm here to keep meeting people where they're at, storytell, support them on their haerenga, their journey, and hopefully through my cameras, my microphones, and what I share, and what I learn from you all, I can just bring it forward, right? And it's like one of the most powerful things we can change the story of what we say about our lives and the lives of others. And it takes time. That shift in yourself, in your whānau, in your hapori, in your community, that shared story really changes things, though. Like look at us. We're here like on an online platform, people in different cities and towns, people in different cross of lives tuning in, and we just sit in our office, in our living room. It's magical. Like there's an interest in topics like this, right? A blend of different traditions. And this couldn't have existed some years and certainly not decades ago. It's an incredible time we live in, folks. And I say this because I've really lived it. Like I'm living what I've asked for when I was a kid, and I'm living what I promised on that night on the stones. This is my grandma. I took it a couple years before she passed, and she was in a wheelchair already. This was in Hong Kong, and it's it's like we're continuing the legacy of our Te Puna, our ancestors, and we've been put down on this planet for some reason that's greater than any of our logical brains can comprehend. But I want to tell a new story, and this new way of doing it has really worked for me, in this season at least, in this kaupapa that we're sharing. I wonder, my curiosity now is, I wonder what version of that might work for you, right? And what kind of story do you want to write now, moving forward? And I'll close with the lyrics from one of my favorite songs. An artist called East Forest, and it's called Can't Fall Out of Love. And it goes like this. We choose what we let go of from moment to moment. And as we choose, we step into the reality forming in front of us of infinite possibilities. And whatever choice you make, you can't fall out of it. Let's call it love. And you can't fall out of love. Tosi taikasi gan tēnā koutou katoa. Yeah, to this whole room, to this container. Yeah, all of you choosing to be here over lunch with me, with us. And namihi to all the Hapori champions, Vera, Ja, Tanya, Ataro, Ju, Emma, Erica, Zach, Tay, Freya. Yeah, everyone who's here that I may or may not be able to see. Yeah, thank you for your presence. It means a lot to me. And I look forward to hearing what kind of questions you have and what kind of kōrero we can dive into next.
It was beautiful. Thank you. Really enjoyed that. I knew I would. You're always awesome. What I really loved was the photo of the goats, because that was my happy childhood memory, was taking my pet goat for a walk through sand dunes. And there it was, the photo of the goats. It was gorgeous. I love that. I don't have any questions for you. There's so much there to absorb and ponder on. My only, I guess, musing was around, I think this is a topic that I'm seeing a lot coming out of the systems change space at the moment around, we can't do systems change if we don't fully understand ourselves and how we fit into the system and the decisions that we make and how we can be caught up in the system ourselves. So really timely presentation from you, I think, given the kōrero that I'm hearing in this space at the moment. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, and beautiful stories that you shared with us. Open the floor to any other musings from other folk on the call, or questions or commentary, random thoughts.
Let's hear it.
Everyone's just in awe.
Yeah, let
Tanya.
us in
Kia
peanuts.
ora. Cool. Kia ora, this is Freya. My camera's not working, but yeah, I just wanted to say what an inspiring kōrero, Kai. That was on so many levels that I loved how you weaved in embodiment and just so many things. I'm just feeling really, really grateful for this in this space. And I want to learn how you can help me with my story. So
Ooh,
yeah,
we
that's
reach out. Let's have a phone call. Have a quarter. We're connected on LinkedIn, I believe. So let's find each other.
okay. Thank you so much. And thank
Oh,
you, everyone.
Tenakwe. Yeah, thank you for being here, Freya.
Hold on.
Kia ora. Um,
Oh,
hey, Kai, you invited me along to this, and I was expecting it to be some kind of workshop on Tory storytelling, which I didn't fully know what to expect. And before stepping into the video call, I've been on the phone with my dad trying to write up a mission statement and a strategic plan for our guiding company for the next, I don't know. And Tawhiri's out there and he's almost blowing the trees over, and I'm agitated, and it wasn't flowing. And stepping into this was the systems design. We'd literally pulled ourselves to trying to explain ourselves within the context of a forest, of a healthy, diverse ecosystem, and it wasn't going anywhere. So kind of, yeah, very serendipitous, the topic. Thanks.
kia ora, bro. So glad you're here. Thank you for showing up. I think Liv, Liv has raised her hand. What you got for me, Liv?
Um, just wanted to say that you have a very eternally young face. You said that you were younger in the images, and I would never have known that you said you were 40. I just want to say, like, I think that carrying like life experience with you and wisdom and bringing it forward into your life, like that karmic energy is very clearly stayed with you in many ways. But how old were you when the event in the Nepal happened?
It was about 2 months after my 30th birthday, so like just over 10 years ago.
10 years younger there. You look exactly the same.
I didn't have long hair. That's a clear sign.
That was the one. Wow.
And a few less white hairs.
Join the club, bro.
I can't wait to join a club.
But actually, I think that does tie into a thought that I'd love to share, which is that I think I've encountered a lot of people being very scared of um, changes in areas that like to do with like getting gray hairs, et cetera. And I do find it really refreshing as a person who is as a younger person. A lot of the people that I look up to and that I learn from um, tend to become very scared of their own aging and tell it to me. And it saddens me to see because I am very excited to grow older and would love to see that rhetoric kept by the people that I'm, learning from because they're beautiful and they gain more experience and to be able to show it as like the same thing as we see the rings on a tree, to see how long and loved that tree has existed in this world. So I appreciate the perspective you've brought about it because it's very refreshing.
Namihi. Oh, there's a line. There's a queue. Let's go Tons and then Tay and then Kate. Tons, what you got? Oh,
You're on mute.
and maybe as we wait Tons to get the tech lined up, we'll go to Tay first.
Kia ora. Hi, Kai.
Kia ora.
Thank you so much for the session. I think, let me make my microphone louder. Yeah, I think I'm not yet fully in a space to fully process and be able to articulate very clearly what some of my takeaways are. But yeah, I think very quickly on, I knew that I trusted you to hold the space and trust you in who you are in your core. And I just have a question. I think
Please.
you spoke a lot about themes that resonated with me around sort of like clarifying your internal systems change and how that leads to a collective narrative shift around like humanity and community and love. Could you articulate what that link is between an internal systems change into a collective one?
Ooh, how much time do you have? Sounds like another good side quest to embark on.
Yeah.
I, great pad thai, thank you. Question. I think in a simpler way, we start with what we can, which is here in this tinana, in this body, and just as Liv was saying, like the people that they look up to, you know, if they embody the whole like, hey, like aging's great, like I have more learned wisdom, that ripples out because everyone they talk to, everyone that they mentor, has that positive effect of like, hey, aging isn't a bad thing. It rewrites the story. And it breaks the cycle of like, oh, you know, wrinkles are bad and white hair, you should dye it. You know, it starts changing the narrative in all the people around you. And so when I say community in Hapori, it's like, well, you start there. Your closest friends, you change your mindset. They see the change in you. They go, oh, what's Tay up to? You know, she sounds really positive. And then maybe they lean in and go, hey, like, what's changing in your life? Like, do you have a new job? Are you really healthy? Like, what's going on? And then that curiosity and that kind of exploration ripples out because maybe they're inspired, like, oh, Tay she's like at the gym every day for 6 months. Like, she's getting fit. She's, you know, doing her 2026 goals. And then they get inspired to go, hey, can we join you at the gym? You see how that it's a chain reaction, but chain reaction in a positive way is what I would say. And over time, and we have to be really patient, you know, months, years, that changes your whole friend group, your whole neighborhood, you know, work. That would be a short answer I can give right now, Tay. Thank you for asking a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tanya, are you back with the tech gods on
Can
your
you
side?
hear me? Can you hear me? Yay!
Let's go.
Firstly, thank you so much, Kai. That was beautiful. The pace and the power of your words really resounded in my heart really deeply. Just two things that have landed for me is thank you, Liv, for your share around older people and the commentary behind that. And I've just become aware that I feel like that, but that's because of the system potentially not valuing aging. And the narrative and the story we've told ourselves is that we're getting older and weaker and not as valued. And so I'm committing to changing that within myself and then allowing that thought to ripple and hopefully kind of show the way for those that are yet to go through the aging process and to look at aging as a gift and a privilege instead of something that really needs to be like changed or feeling bad about, you know. So thank you, and I commit to that, changing my story with that. But thank you, and I'm sure that's going to give me more energy to carry on and not to get so stuck in my head with the grey hairs and wrinkles, and just to be joyful instead. So thank you.
Tons, you're a great elder, and that's definitely going to play out in your community and certainly with me and our group here. So, heck yeah,
Thanks.
that's the mutual uplift I want us to have. Yeah. Kate, kia ora e hoa.
Yeah, kia ora. Thank you. Really worthwhile session. Really glad that I've joined. I wanted to offer a reflection around stories and finding what story that you're telling yourself. It really resonates for me because I've been spending the last few months spending a lot of time with trying to work out what stories I'm telling myself. And I guess a reflection that I'd have is sometimes those stories that you tell yourself are very deep. They're deeply buried because they were laid down very deep, like when you were very young. So the process for me this year has been realizing that actually some of the stories that I tell myself are stories that I created when I was like, 1.5, 2, 3 years old. So, it's a toddler story. And it can be really hard to find those stories in yourself, but they underpin all of the more grown-up stories that you tell yourself. So the process this year of identifying them has been really fruitful because it then flows into all of your more grown-up logical stories you tell. It sort of sits underneath as an assumption. If there's something really stuck, there were things stuck in my life, and I tried to deal with them by looking for the adult stories that I'm telling myself, and then trying to argue with those stories and reason with them and figure them out and like apply logic to them. And this year was a process of realizing that actually the stories that I really need to work with are like 2-year-old stories. And have you tried arguing and using logic with a 2-year-old? So just a reflection of if you're feeling really stuck and you're trying to work out what the underpinning story is, try to like reach that toddler, and that means looking at what it feels like in your body, as well as just what are the words that are coming up in your brain, and that takes time.
Tēnā koe. Yeah, truly. That's been my experience as well. Yeah, and you realizing that already and like having that awareness and starting to work towards that is a really big milestone. I hope you celebrate that.
Very much.
Appreciate the share, Kate. Yeah, it's really meaningful. Oh, look at that! 2 p.m. exactly.
I just looked at the clock as well. I was like, look at that! That's amazing. Well done, people.
We're good.
We're good. So again, thank you, Kai. I think your stories clearly resonated with everybody here and inspired us all and have given us so much to think about this afternoon. It's going to be hard to know, like, do a brain shift and go back to whatever it was that we were doing beforehand or need to get done.
Yeah, it could be a bit jarring.
Strategic plans and white papers and goodness knows what. But I think, and I think I'll at least be coming back to this a few times over the following days and weeks, maybe. So thank you.